Hello guys, in this video we will go over different kind of loops that we have in Java. So we will go over for loop, for each loop, while loop, and we will also touch on do while loops. All right, let's get started. If we want to print hello world 3 times, okay? Hello world 3 times. We can, copy and paste this 3 times. And so we can run this 3 times. But what if you want to print it 100 times? Well, we can use for loop. One of the ways you could do it is you can say start from I equals 0, go to, let's say, 100 times. We want to print this 100 times, and do I++. So what this means is we're going to start, we have our variable, which is an integer. So this takes in a whole number. Start from 0, go up to 100, and increment by 1. So what in Java, what this means is this is equivalent to, this means do I plus plus is equal to, I is equal to I plus 1. So that's a short way of writing I equals I plus 1. So it's going to increment I by 1. If we print this out now, if I copy this over there, it's going to print this 100 times. We can even check this out. So if I do, you can print this out plus I, all right? We can see it's going to print it to 100. So you're seeing 99 because it starts at 0. So it goes from 0 to 99, which is 100. What if you want to, let's say, instead of doing I plus 1, we want to, instead of incrementing it by 1, what if you want to increment by, let's say, 5, okay? Or 2. So let's do that. So we're going to do an I is equal to 0. I less than, let's say, we're going to go up to 10. And we want to increment by 2. So we're going to do something like I plus equals 2. So this will increment it by in steps of 2. So what that means is basically if I go up to my notepad, right? Instead of doing this before where it was incrementing by 1, I plus 1, it went to 2, then it went to 3, then I plus 1 again, it went to 4, and then it went to 5. Instead of that, we're saying, you know what, incremented by 2. Start from index 0. Okay, start from 0 and skip to there. So go to 2 and then go to 5. So that's what we're telling it to do. So we're going to try to print this, and we can see how many times it printed it out. So I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to comment this out as well. So let's run this. So here you can see it's incremented it by 2 every time. So it went from 0 to 2, then to 4, then to 6, then to 8. Since we did less than 10, what if we do, if you want to do up to 10, we can set it equals to 10. Now it's going to go from 0 to 10. This means less than or equal to. So pretty simple, straightforward. So the next loop that we want to go over is the for each loop. For each loop is used to iterate over like arrays, set, list, so those types of data structures. Let's define our, array. So this is how you define an array in Java. And this will hold integer values. So it's going to, let's say, we're going to go up to 5. And there's a couple of ways we can print out this array. We can do something very similar to this, or we can use a for each loop. So let's say if you want to, use this, how would we do it? Well, we're going to do something very similar to that. We're going to start from index 0. We will go up to the size of the array. So the size of the array is 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 elements. So instead of typing in 5, we can get the size directly from the variable that we set. So the way we do that is using this length variable, okay, defined within the array class. And we want to increment by 1. So basically, we want to get every single element within this array. And we can print this out. Going to copy this and say, it's actually, I'll just replace this. So my array is equal to, now since the way we want to access the elements inside the array is, this is how we do it. My array, go use a bracket and go to I. So I is telling it, hey, this is my array variable. And inside there, I want you to get me the element stored at that index. Okay, so it's going to go from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Okay, so if we run this, okay, I'm just going to comment this out so we can easily read it. We're going to get all the elements within our array. So we can expand this as well. So what if we do 6 and then, this and then that. Okay, so let's run this. It's automatically going to get all the elements within our array. Now, in for each, the way we could do it is we use for each loop. So it's for int. It's an integer. Okay, since we have integer values here, we're going to define an integer. We're going to call it, let's say, variable a. And then what's our array? It's my array. Now, to print this out, we're going to do a, that's it. So let's run this. Comment that out. So the way it's working is, this is the array that we described over here. This is the object, okay? So it has elements inside this. It's getting every single element, so it's getting 1 and storing it into this variable a. It's getting the next element 2 and storing it inside a. So that's how this for each works. Straightforward. Let's do another example. We're going to define another array. This time it's going to be arrays of string array equals, we're going to say, I don't know, subscribe to me, Mr. Programmer. So we have 3 elements within our string array. Let's do the for each on this. So for, so this time we have string elements. So we're going to use string s, let's define that, string array, and then we can print this out. Okay, println. So this should print all the elements within our array. Subscribe to me. So this is the for each loop. The last loop that I want to go over is the while loop. So while loop is a condition-based loop. It basically runs until the condition becomes false. So for example, if I have something like while true, let's see, it is TRUE, got stuck in Python. So while true, run me, okay? While true, say run me. So now watch what's going to happen. I'm going to comment that out. It's going to keep on running. Why? Because this is set to true, and there's no condition telling it to stop. There's nothing telling it to set it to false, okay? So it's going to keep on running. Okay, so we need to tell it to stop. One way we could do it is, we can describe, let's say, a Boolean. We can set that to true. Let's replace this with our Boolean variable. And we can set the Boolean to false. So now if you run this, it's going to print it once. There you go. So the way it's working is, we first initialize the flag to true. It checks, okay, flag is true. Go and set the loop. It runs it. Then it sets a flag back to false. Then it goes back to the loop again, the while loop. It checks, hey, what's the value of flag? Oh, flag is false. Okay, since it's false, we can't go inside the loop. I can set a breakpoint here, and we can check out in debugger as well. Now I'm going to have a separate video on breakpoints and debuggers and how they work. It's extremely important and good to know. So let me set this debugger up. So over here, we got our flag. You can see it's set to true. Now we're going to step into this, It went inside this loop. Why? Because this flag was set to true. Okay, now it's going to run it. It's going to print this out. Now look at the value of flag. It's going to be set to false. There you go. Now it says, okay, what's the value of flag? Hey, it's false. Okay, skip over. So that's how it works. Now we can also say, hey, you know what? I want to run it when the condition is set to false. Well, in Java, we could do something like this. While flag not. What this symbol denotes to is not, basically, okay? It's the same thing as me saying if flag is equal to false. That's pretty much it. So, but the way you write is not flag. So if I run, now I'm going to run this. It's not going to go inside the loop and will not print this out. Why? Because flag is set to true. This condition is checking for when flag is set to false. So now I can set this to false. I'm going to set this to true because if I don't, it's going to run this in an infinite loop. So if I run this, it's going to go inside the loop and print it out. Not too bad. While loops are pretty simple as well. There's another type of loop in Java called do while, which basically came from C++. The way it works is when the program will first run, it's going to go inside the loop. So I'm going to copy this. So it's saying, keep doing this statement, keep running this until the flag is, true. Okay, so in this case, it's going to print run me once and then set it to false. There you go. So if I set it to true, it's going to run this in an infinite loop because there's nothing setting it back to false. So if I set this to flag is equal to false, it's going to run it once. So in Java, you don't really see do while loops being used that often. So we're going to skip this and, stick with this while loop. Let's do another example. Okay, we're going to do with the counter. Okay, so we're going to define a counter variable. And we will check, run this loop while count is less than 5. So let's print out the count. And we are going to increment the count. So again, we will do this. This is equivalent. This is pretty much equivalent to this. Okay, count. We're basically pretty much saying count is equal to count plus 1. So this will run it from 0 to 4. Okay, so if I run this, you can see 0 to 4. Now, if you want to get up to 5, you can set this equal to less than or equal to 5. So it's going to go from 0 to 5. We can check this out. So let's, set our breakpoint there and see how it's working step by step. So we initialize our count variable here at 0. We're going to go, since it's checking, hey, 0 is less than or equal to 5. Okay. Go inside the loop and print it out. So we got our first count at 0. Now increment the count. Now count will become 1 at this point. There you go, count became 1. Go inside the loop, print it out. Now increment the count again. Now it's going to be 1 plus 1. That's 2. Okay, we got 1 there as well. Then go inside there, print it out. Now do 2 plus 1, which is 3. Keep going. Now we're going to get up to 5. Now it's going to check, hey, is 5 less than 5? No, it's not. But is 5 less than or equal to 5? Yes, because 5 is equal to 5. Go inside the loop. Now, our count became 6. Now it's checking, hey, is 6 less than or equal to 5? No, 6 is bigger than 5. Okay, so we can exit our loop. So that's another example of a while loop. Hopefully this helped you all get a better understanding of loops. So we went over for loops, for each, and while loops today. I know these loops can be confusing. I know it was for me when I first started programming, but hopefully this has helped you guys. And I've also done a very similar video in Python as well. Concepts are pretty much the same, just slightly different syntax. All right, take care.